Good evening. The debate over Hindutva versus Hinduism is still continuing. From Salman Khurshid, then Rahul Gandhi, now it's Shashi Tharoor who's weighed in. He has called Hindutva akin to British football club hooligans. Now, many are construing this as an insult to millions of Hindus, and rightfully so. But is there a method behind this madness? What exactly is the Congress party trying to prove by trying to make this distinction between Hinduism and Hindutva? And is this distinction relevant at all to a voter sitting in Etah or Bharej or Gonda? Because if it is not, and chances are highly likely there is no distinction for an average voter in Uttar Pradesh between Hindutva and Hinduism, then why is the Congress party taking such a huge gamble 3 months before the biggest state in India goes to polls?
हिंदू धर्म में और हिंदुत्व में फर्क है.
Only because from what Mahatma Gandhi's vision was, then I cannot even believe that he's a Hindu.
Hindutva, which is a political ideology that actually believes in certitudes, that it's like the team identity of the British football hooligans.
The Hindutva debate has well and truly been reignited, courtesy the Congress party. The latest to wade in is Congress MP Shashi Tharoor. He compared Hindutva to a British football team hooligan.
Hindutva, which is a political ideology that actually believes in certitudes, that it's like the team identity of the British football hooligan, saying this is my team and if you support another team I'll hit you on the head. That to my mind is not Hindu dharma, that is frankly nothing to do with Hinduism as I understand it.
The remark did not sit down well with the BJP, who accused Tharoor of ignorance.
The Hindutva and Hinduism is the same term. It is connotes same thing to the people. If they want to understand, they should read the books and scriptures and understand Indian civilization and culture.
जो महात्मा गांधी ने जिस धर्म की बात करी, जिस अहिंसा की बात करी, जो वो बात करी उसको कहते हैं हिंदू धर्म. और जो नाथूराम गोडसे ने बात करी, नफरत की बात करी, हिंसा की बात करी, उसको कहते हैं हिंदुत्व.
Congress's Hindutva storm has been brewing ever since senior party leader Salman Khurshid compared Hindutva to the ISIS and Boko Haram in his book.
If you distort religion, if you distort the beautiful thing, if you distort a noble thing, and you give it a label of religion, then you are not paying obeisance to your religion.
Days later, Rahul Gandhi argued that Hinduism is not about killing individuals, but Hindutva is.
हिंदू धर्म में और हिंदुत्व में फर्क है. क्योंकि अगर फर्क नहीं होता तो नाम एक ही होता. हिंदुत्व को हिंदू की जरूरत नहीं होती या हिंदुत्व की जरूरत नहीं होती.
But even within the Congress, there appears to be a divide on Hindutva. MP Manish Tiwari said the debate between Hindutva and Hinduism missed the Nehruvian ideal of religion being a private space and said the Congress has gone down a slippery slope. So in election season, has Hindutva become a political football?
All right, on the talking point this evening, Neerja Chaudhary, senior journalist, Rashid Kidwai, author and journalist, Shantanu Gupta, political analyst, is also joining us, Sanjay Jha, political analyst, and Tom Vadakan, spokesperson of the BJP. Let me start with Sanjay Jha if he's available. Is he available? All right, he's not available. So, Tom, let me come to you first. What is going on with your former party? I can't understand for the life of me why in this election season, Congress party is bending over backwards to make this distinction between Hinduism and Hindutva. First, we thought it was just Salman Khurshid, offhand, he's making a comment, he wants to sell his book. Then Rahul Gandhi weighs in. Today, Shashi Tharoor is weighing in. And all of this 3 months before the UP elections. It doesn't make any political sense.
Zaka, you're very right to say it doesn't make political sense and there is no narrative in it. Now, this former president of the Congress party, a proclaimed Janudhari Hindu, says that Lord Shiva swallowed the entire universe. That shows, his knowledge about the scriptures is very limited. And here is the cheerleader Shashi Tharoor coming in and talking about hooliganism. Well, the Scottish team, I mean, very notorious for hooliganism. Wherever they lose a match, whether their club loses a match, they tear that city apart. It is the same thought process
Okay.
that Rahul Gandhi is very fond of football. So to make him understand Hindutva in terms of football, Shashi Tharoor is making life quite simple for him, saying that this is like football hooliganism. But the fact is he is doing injustice to both the Janudari and himself.
Okay, no, let me go to Sanjay Jha. I'm sorry, Tom, I'm interrupting because Sanjay is on a patchy connection. So let me just try and see if I can go to him. Sanjay, what is this attempt by Congress leaders to try and make this, you're literally splitting hairs to try and make this distinction between Hinduism and Hindutva, and that too 3 months before the biggest state in the country votes? I mean, why should the viewer or the voter care about this distinction? Sanjay.
Congress party is in thin ice on this issue. I cannot deny that because I think the pertinent point that you have raised is the care distinction, and that there is no denying that the inclusiveness or the secularism which is inherent in Hinduism is not something being practiced in the Hindutva that the BJP and the RSS talk about. And I think the fundamental point, Zaka, is this. I think Shashi Tharoor is making more of an allegory or a metaphor where you find that football clubs in England, for example, with Manchester United supporters or Chelsea supporters or a Manchester City supporter are fanatical about the ownership, believe their club is right and everybody else will be damned. So I do believe that is the issue that he's trying to highlight.
No, but everybody is right. Everybody is wrong. Only you are right. It is not something that is restricted just to followers of BJP and RSS. That can apply to people who believe in fundamentalist Islam, fundamentalist Christianity. It can belong to people who follow a certain fundamentalist variety of Sikhism. And why make this distinction now? I mean, here's the ultimate irony. No less than Congress, no less than Rahul Gandhi has tried to make this distinction, splitting hairs. Now Shashi Tharoor has. But the Congress party will not send a spokesperson on a debate on which their former president has weighed in, former member of parliament has weighed in, former external affairs minister has weighed in, but they don't want to send a spokesperson. I don't get it.
I'll answer that. Zaka, you have hit the nail on the head. This is the basic prevarication or the pussyfooting around that gets the Congress into trouble. Either you bite the bullet and go the whole hog and explain the philosophical differences, or else you don't flirt at the bit. I think this is exactly the weakness of the party. It dodges and ducks these debates. Why isn't an official spokesperson here on the show? I mean, this is baffling, absolutely baffling. And in my opinion, this is the contradiction in terms of what people say and what the other people in the party are supposed to follow. We are playing into the BJP's playbook. If you go and actually get animated on this issue, then it has to be ideologically kind of understood, and this should be discussed in an inner party forum. You can't have party leaders kind of shooting off their individual viewpoints in 10 different places, each of them very convinced that they are right, and the party saying officially that is a private opinion.
I think there's something else happening. Sanjay, I'll let you go because you're on a flight. I don't want to keep you for longer. But I think there's something else happening. Rashid Gidwai, explain this to us, because when Rahul Gandhi comes in, takes this position, he believes that there's a distinction between Hindutva and Hinduism for whatever reason. I mean, he can't seem to explain it articulately to the rest of the world. And I don't think why should the rest of the country care about this distinction? But most importantly, when he is coming and articulating this, I can't for the life of me understand then why wouldn't the Congress party send an official spokesperson to defend that position? No less than Rahul Gandhi has taken that position. That's the position of the Congress party. And yet, today on the panel, there is no Congress spokesperson because they want to stay away from Hindu-Muslim issues on television.
Yeah, Zaka, so there is a problem of ideology, there is a problem of communication. See, late Sitaram Kesri used to say there are 3 types of congressmen. There are backward leader, there are forward leader, and there are Harvard leaders. Those who lead Congress toward defeat. He used to say it in Hindi, that hard word. So what he meant was that intellectuals actually caused a lot of damage. There are so many ways of defining any faith, as you had said in your opening remark. The Congress has a fundamental problem with the sort of, political face of Hinduism. And they are saying it differently. It's like, 9 blind men trying to, define an elephant or so. So they were all wrong, and at some level they were all right, because whichever part they were touching, they were able to describe it appropriately. This is the problem. But this, as Manish Tiwari is saying, I think in this entire kind of, series of statements, what Manish Tiwari is saying is closest to the official Congress line, and Congress should stick to it, that faith is personal, and that's the Congress policy. You cannot go on defining religion at the time of election or any other, because Congress believes that it's a secular polity. And worst thing that Rahul Gandhi is doing, that he's stroking the debate. He's not intervening. He's not putting a lid on it.
Exactly.
Because
and then the Congress turns around and says, "Oh, the BJP is polarizing." But Neerja Chaudhary, I'm still trying to give some kind of benefit of the doubt to the Congress party, if one exists at all. Is the method in this madness to try and make the Congress relevant as the principal opposition in Uttar Pradesh, or at least when it comes to talking points, when it comes to media coverage, when it comes to what is there in the public domain? Because you look at all the other parties, look at Samajwadi Party, they are staying very, very smartly away from this whole Hindu-Muslim binary, and it's a template that was used by Tejashwi Yadav in Bihar. He did well politically for that. Mamata Banerjee followed that. Mamata Banerjee did not give an opportunity to the BJP to say that we are more Hindu than you. In fact, she went to the other extreme, saying, I'm more Hindu than you guys are. You don't need to teach me Hinduism by reciting the Chandi Path and so on. But the Congress party is utterly confused. Rahul Gandhi says one thing, no spokesperson comes to defend him. Manish Tiwari is right, and I think Rashid was excellent in alluding to what Manish Tiwari said. Why are you bringing these things 3 months before elections? Stay away from this. This is not your strong suit. Neerja Chaudhary.
If you look at Shashi Tharoor, Manish Tiwari has commented, and of course Salman Khurshid, as authors, every author has a right to express his or her view. But the authors are also senior Congress leaders. And you're right, this has come out 3 months before the UP elections. And what they're debating is what the opponent's ideology is or is not.
Yeah.
We want to know what the Congress party stands for. What is the Congress's ideology? Is Hindutva, Hinduism, the Congress's ideology? So that is something, of course, Manish Tiwari has talked about it, state, separation of state from religion, and what secularism stands for and what the Congress party stood for. But that is not being articulated by the leaders of the party. And one more thing, if a tweet by Rahul Gandhi becomes the policy of the Congress party, then why not a paragraph in a book by Salman Khurshid or a paragraph in a book by Shashi Tharoor? For 7 long years, there has not been a debate in the party. What does it stand for?
Yeah.
And we are still waiting. The Congress party has become a crowd of individuals held together neither by ideology nor by a leadership. That is the tragedy today, and that has many manifestations. I don't think they've had any brainstorming. In several months they will have a CWC to gloss over issues. It's a harsh word.
See, again,
but as a citizen of India,
my quibble with Rahul Gandhi is maybe he believes, he's utterly convinced that there is a distinction between Hindutva and Hinduism. Maybe he believes that with every, cell in his body. Fair enough. I don't have a quibble with that. Maybe he's not articulate enough. Maybe he's not articulate enough to convey that to the voters, right? That's fair enough. But if he believes that, and if he is still the de facto leader of this party, then the party men and women should be able to defend that position. I mean, that's the simple, point that I'm trying to make, Shantanu Gupta. Tomorrow, if Narendra Modi or Amit Shah, or let's even take the case of Yogi Adityanath, say something in the public domain, not one BJP spokesperson will come and say anything contrary to that. they will come and defend it. And that's how it should be in political parties.
I know, Zaka, not only for this statement, there are multiple statements of Rahul Gandhi, which I think will be tough for Congress spokesman to defend. I think having said that, earlier we thought it's just a book-selling strategy, but now Rahul Gandhi also makes the distinction of Hinduism and Hindutva. When I talked to a lot of scholars in the morning before the debate, they told that it's just a Hindu tattva. So what is the tattva? The Hindu-ness is nothing but Hindutva. So they are just trying to put this binary so that they can classify a certain set of people under one category. The term coined is almost 1892 by Chandranath Bose. The later Bal Gangadhar Tilak used the term, and very late in the day in 1920s, Savarkar used the term. I think this has been the Congress's ideology, right? Nehru was not very comfortable with Somnath Temple. We have seen that from Rahul Gandhi's time, jo ladke mandir jate hain, ladki chherte hain, Ram was imaginary for them. I think they're still confused. Will they play their old minority appeasement politics and divide people in caste, or now they do soft Hindutva? They are confused. I think they just get up in the morning, say a statement, and then some of us debate on it. So they're just trying to be relevant somehow. And Uttar Pradesh anyway, they're not even fourth, fifth party. They're just trying to be relevant at least in debates.
Is it also a strategy? Again, I'm trying to rack my brains to find this. What is the method in this madness? Because clearly it is happening to a plan. This is not just a book-selling strategy of one leader, who may be well past his sell-by date. If this has come from Rahul Gandhi downwards and Shashi Tharoor is echoing that, trying to reinforce that message, then clearly, this is a strategy. This is being sent from top down as far as the Congress party is concerned. Is the attempt, Rashid Kidwai, and then I'll go to Tom after that, is the attempt, Rashid Kidwai, to try and... See, it's very clear that the UP election is fast becoming a Yogi versus Akhilesh or BJP versus SP sort of an election. What was billed to be a multipolar, three-way fight, four-way fight, that's not happening. At least now, at this point of time, 3 months before the election, it is very clear that this is a straight fight between BJP and Samajwadi Party. And maybe, there is a wide gap between both the parties. But nonetheless, it is still very much a bipolar fight. Is the attempt by the Congress party to try and send out a signal also to others who may be either disillusioned with the BJP or anti-incumbent to the BJP, that look, we are also here, that we also are an alternative. This is not just a fight between, SP and BJP. Is that the messaging? Is that the signaling, Rashid?
Zaka, I think here we are giving too much, we are crediting Congress with too much intelligence or, political acumen. How can it be if we are divided into terms of religion, 70-80% versus 20%, how can it be a cogent political strategy? Other than Uttar Pradesh, there are 4 states which are going to elections, Goa, Uttarakhand, Punjab, and Manipur, which have very little or negligible Muslim population. So and in Uttar Pradesh, as we know, the Congress is not a very, strong political force. So it makes no political sense at all to be taking this kind of position. This is the attention-seeking behavior by certain individuals. And of course, Rahul Gandhi, who tries to, project himself as some kind of ideologue or an intellectual of the party, which he is not. So this is a problem. And as Nirjaji was rightly saying, there is no brainstorming to kind of define a line, official party line. This is absent, this total chaos. I don't know how Mr. Shantanu Gupta can say that it is an attempt to divide Hindu votes. Which Hindu would move with this kind of formulation?
No, if anything, I mean, this will only further alienate, any Hindus who, like I said, may have been disillusioned with the BJP or may want to vote anti-incumbent to the BJP. They will, in fact, be further put off by these comments, whether it's from Rahul Gandhi or whether it's from Shashi Tharoor. But I want to go back to Tom. Here's the thing. Again, the confusion is also reeking from the fact that, on the one hand, Rahul Gandhi says, Hindutva and Hinduism are two different things, very clear distinction as far as he sees it. The next day, he becomes a Janayodhari. The third day, he becomes a Shiv Bhakt. And then the fourth day, he says, I'm a Kashmiri Pandit. I mean, he's got to make up his mind. What is he? He can't be all of these things. He can't be one thing one day and something else another day. I mean, that's confused messaging. And that's bad political strategy. Tom.
Zaka, I wouldn't like to make it so very simplistic. This is a clever idea by distinguishing Hinduism and Hindutva. the scheme of the thing is that they are trying to isolate some of the Hindus from the BJP, and the other plot is appeasement. Now, the plot fails miserably. It's another story. It has no ground. It has no foundation. So this is all an attempt to do appeasement indirectly. And the cheerleaders, which is Shashi Tharoor, Salman Khurshid, it's all a pattern, you know. It is not incidental that something happened and something followed. This is pre-planned, and even the spokesmen do not have the brief how to tackle this.
Yeah.
It's a very peculiar plight for the spokesman, because the chief spokesman talked about Rahul Gandhi as a Janodari. He has a view on it, and the spokesmen are not even briefed on what to do and how to handle this. This is an advanced plan and fishing in troubled waters.
Okay.
And there's an attempt being made to see whether they can fish there.
Nirja Chaudhary and then Shantanu Gupta, I'll give you the final word, a minute each to both of you. Where does this go from here? I mean, you have on the one hand Priyanka Gandhi trying to run a low-key but a campaign which I'm given to understand is having some resonance on the ground. And yet, every time somebody makes a statement, including what her brother said, do you feel that it is undermining that campaign? Do you feel that it is taking away from whatever little resonance on the ground her campaign might be having? Nirja.
Look, it gives a handle to the BJP. It's a godsend for the BJP. You know, having to deal with anger of people over the handling of the wave 2 of COVID, prices going through the roof, livelihoods not being there, people unhappy, and this is the feedback, farmers' issues. You've now made it go back to the old Hindu-Muslim, Hindutva versus Hinduism narrative. So the BJP will latch onto it with both hands, and understandably so. But one last thing I want to say, what Rahul is saying, I'm a practicing Hindu, Janevdhari, Shiv Bhakt, that point can be there. No? He can be a practicing Hindu and not believe in Hindutva. That, I think you cannot fault him for that one.
Okay.
But the point is, what does the Congress party stand for?
All right, Shantanu, final word, 30 seconds. I think Nirja's hit one of the nails on the head as well. That, you know, basically by making this the central or the focal point, the Congress is giving a free pass to the BJP. Nobody is asking questions of second wave in COVID or, you know, lockdown, livelihoods lost. There are a whole bunch of issues that can be discussed before an election. But now it's again come back to Hindu-Muslim.
Zaka, I'll agree with everyone. This is a thought-out process. It's not that it's happening randomly. And it's a thought-out process why they're doing so. And even you said Akhilesh is away. Akhilesh is also making Jinnah, Mukhtar Ansari, everything. So I think they're all trying for this Muslim vote because they're already thinking BJP is way ahead in the race. Let me latch on to the second position. Let me at least latch on to this 18-20% Muslim vote bank, because BJP is way ahead of us in their election machinery, in their popularity of Yogi. At least latch on to the second position by latching on to the Muslim vote. So I think they're doing it consciously.
All right. We'll see how this plays out in the UP elections. For the moment, thank you very much to all our guests. I'll catch you again at 9 p.m. with Brass Tacks.